While others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
we celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Years of Broadway.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Mud podcast. While others celebrate the wins,
We celebrate the mud.
always.
I can't say that without laughing.
She can't say without laughing.
We're coming to you from the Barrel Lounge at the Mall in West Village. I'm Alex Cuman.
I'm Drew King, and today we have a dear friend of mine on the podcast that I haven't seen in years, and I'm so excited she's here today. The remarkable, incredible Broadway star diva extravaganza, Mamie Parris.
Yay! I'm so glad to be here, and it has been too long.
It's been so long.
It has been
I
too
think
long.
it's been like 8 or 9 years.
It was,
Has it really been that long?
Well, the pandemic
sure-
lasted like 20, so it's been at least 25.
It did.
But where did you two initially, through Broadway, it sounds like?
Yes.
But where specifically?
I
did
believe
you...
our first time working together was on the 20th Century, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my Broadway debut. It was on the 20th Century, starring Kristen Chenoweth and Peter Gallagher. Mamie was Kristen Chenoweth's understudy and was amazing. Because you went on,
10 times.
I was going to say 5 or 6 times, but I think
No,
it was like 10.
was 10.
You
She
went
was
on-
busy that year because she was hosting the Tonys.
Yeah.
Is 10 a lot?
10
Is
is,
10 a
it was a
lot?
limited
It was a
run.
limited run.
So for
Yeah.
that short run, it kind of was, yeah.
Yeah,
But it
that's
wasn't
awesome.
like because she couldn't do it. She just is a very busy woman.
Yeah.
So like a couple of times she wasn't feeling well, but the rest of the time she's just
Yeah.
being Kristen Chenoweth.
I remember she was having really bad vertigo on that contract.
Yeah.
Like the like the inner ear imbalance, and she was like trying to do the show, but that would affect her. So
Yeah.
that happened a few times, and then she was hosting the Tony Awards while doing our show.
Absolutely.
While dealing with vertigo.
Alan Cumming. Yeah, she's a busy,
Yeah.
amazing
I have a
lady.
question.
She was booked and busy.
I have a question as an outsider. How, like, when you're feeling sick and you're on a show, how sick do you have to be to call out? Like, is it like you're on your deathbed, or is it like if you're a little
No,
sick?
girl, it's what you think.
Yeah.
What you think.
Okay.
I'm a fan. It's a controversial topic in a sense, although it's less controversial post-pandemic, I feel like.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of like, if you are unwell in a way that will either get people sick or will compromise your performance, call out. And there's a certain breed, it's kind of old school. Some folks who are like, I've never missed a performance, right? I only call out if I can't walk. And I'm like, all that says to me is that you've probably given a subpar performance. No audience is the same, and you want to deliver the same quality to every audience.
Yeah,
and if you can't go in and deliver that quality and it's going to affect the performance, like, why are you there? That's why, because we have so many terrific performers who are understudies and standbys, and they're ready. Like,
Yeah, they are.
It's also, if you're to me, when you're so sick that you can give it to other people. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, because I do stand-up. We're all sharing a microphone.
Oh,
is when I see someone walk on stage who is clearly at the beginning of being sick, is coughing, is icky, and I'm like, well, now I'm for sure going to get that.
Yeah.
I'm for sure going to get that. That's and it's like, just call out.
Yeah.
Just call out.
Yeah.
Just don't come.
I agree. Especially now.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we're all hyper aware. Somebody coughs and you're like,
Yeah. It's a COVID. Like, call out, leave.
So just like take the night off.
Just take one night.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
Okay.
So we met doing On the 20th Century, but you have a whole slew of credits. You are a amazing Broadway performer. I'm trying to think if I can remember all of your credits. Okay, so 110 in the Shade.
Yeah.
Obviously On the 20th Century, School of Rock, Cats. I'm missing one.
I think you're
Or
missing
two.
2. We jumped from the earlier Drowsy Chaperone.
Drowsy Chaperone.
And Ragtime.
Oh, and Ragtime, duh, I did miss 2. And then Tour, you did 9 to 5.
Yep.
You were Get Out and Stay Out, right?
Yes.
There's this amazing song in the musical 9 to 5 based off the Dolly Parton movie called Get Out, Stay Out. Your version is amazing.
my God,
incredible.
thanks. It's
We'll
the
post
greatest character. It's
Yes.
the Jane Fonda character, Judy Burnley. And she just has such like amazing growth during the show.
That's the best role on the show.
Well, I'm biased. I'm sorry, I'm biased, but yes, it is. Because like just to have that kind of growth and then be able to like celebrate it with a song like that, where you're like, I've grown so much and now I'm gonna sing about it. It's like, it's really satisfying. So I agree. I loved it.
It's amazing. I love your version of it.
Thanks.
It's beautiful. And you were, this is apropos because of the Wicked movie.
Oh yeah.
And Elphaba.
I was in Elphaba.
Yes.
Wow.
Also amazing, amazing, amazing. Elphaba.
Unbelievable.
Yes. There's,
Wow.
if y'all want to go on a YouTube deep dive, there is some treasures with Mamie Parris on YouTube. They're impeccable.
There are a lot of bootlegs out there of many things.
Is there a 20th century
I love
bootleg?
that. I'm going to do that when I get back.
If there is, I don't know about it. If there is and somebody has it, please like send it my
send
way.
us the 20th century bootleg where Mamie was on for
Yeah,
Christian Show.
I don't know. I've never been good at like doing that, and I don't have friends that are like good at doing that, so I don't ask, you know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. What a resume.
Yeah.
It's been good. I can't complain.
Okay,
I've
and
been
so
very fortunate.
You're from Texas.
Yeah.
You went to AMDA.
I did.
Which is the American Musical Dramatic Academy.
Yes.
Yes.
American Musical and Dramatic Academy.
I got it right.
You got it right.
Located in
New York.
New York.
It's
Yeah,
actually
they have
close
New
to
York and
Fordham.
LA.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they have LA as well.
Yeah, the LA campus is great. I've been there a couple times.
Oh, great.
A lot of amazing people went there. Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
Oh,
went
yeah.
there. Like lots of other names that I'm blanking out right now. But
Did you always know you wanted to be in theater?
I mean, I think as soon as I knew about it and knew what it was, which was probably when I was like 12. I mean, I'd known it existed, but I didn't really know what it was until I was about 12. And then I was like, oh, I think I'm supposed to do this.
That's how I was with
It
comedy.
wasn't really.
It was like it wasn't even a choice. It was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Did you see somebody do it? And
No, I did it. It was
You
the
just-
first time I did it.
Did you
And
like
I
stand
was-
up in class?
I
or-
did. It was like I did stand up, and I was in like my late 20s.
Oh,
you mean, like, the
okay.
first time you
This
went
is
to
my
like,
picture
yeah.
you at 12, like
At
in a club,
12.
being like,
yeah, or like
What's the
What's
deal
the
with
deal?
pencils?
in first grade being
Yeah.
like, I want to be a comedian.
That's kind of what I was
God,
picturing.
Insane.
Oh.
Well, what was your 12-year-old exposure to theater? Was it like through school?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was. Well, we had moved to Kansas City, Missouri. And Kansas City at the time had these magnet schools in the public school system, which were themed schools that were supposed to drive kids in from the suburb to help integrate the inner city schools. A really cool program at the time. And I had always loved to sing. I'd always been like, I wanted to be on stage singing. And I grew up listening to Whitney Houston and being like, that's what I want to do. So we applied to get me in one of these schools, and we got on the waiting list because they were very popular, especially the art school. So I had also always wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know why those things coincide.
That's where Legally Blonde comes
Hell
in.
yeah. I was like, what, like it's hard? So I wound up getting in at the last, like 5 days before school started. So there was no time to select classes or audition. Not that I would have known how to do that anyway. So as luck would have it, I didn't have a single choir class. But I had like a dance class and theater 101 or intro to theater, I think it was called. And in that first week or two in intro to theater, I remember learning about theater. And there was one particular class, I remember it so specifically, so viscerally, that my teacher was describing creating a character. You know, you want to envision what your character thinks and what they, you know, just kind of getting to the root of who this person was. And it occurred to me that that's just what I'd always done. I had always, ever since I could remember, I would, you know, sit in the cart at the grocery store with my mom, and I would see people in the aisles, and I would create their entire lives, how many kids they had, and what they ate for breakfast, and just create their worlds. And here he was telling me what that was. And it was like, in that moment, I went, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Isn't that wild?
That is
I love
so
that.
cool.
I remember it so clear. I was 12. And you know what's funny is that teacher, his name was Ron Meyer. It was his first year teaching school. He was like 23. And we reconnected later. I went and did master classes for his kids at a different school. He's retired now, and we're good friends. He and his husband and I keep in touch. I'm going to see them over the holidays.
Ron, you're out here
I
changing
know.
lives.
Hi, Ron. We love our theater educators.
Isn't that cool?
They were our mentors and
mean,
kept us safe. And
yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, agreed.
So special.
Very, very
That's
cool.
amazing.
Very
That's
cool.
beautiful. Well, now we're gonna like hard pivot into our
hard pivot.
topic
Oh gosh,
for the
yeah.
day.
Hard
I'm excited.
pivot.
I'm excited for this pivot.
Which is something that you've been dealing with for a while, but is not your first time dealing with it, I know, because we actually talked about this during On the 20th Century, I remember.
did,
We talked about
yeah.
it backstage. But you are in the midst of a Bell's palsy spell.
Yes.
First off, we should define, for those that don't know, what is Bell's palsy, and then how far along are you in this current chapter of time with
Sure.
Bell's?
Bell's palsy is a temporary facial paralysis. It causes paralysis on one hemisphere and one hemisphere of the face only, so either the right side or the left side. And generally, it just causes your entire face to become paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean numb. You can still feel things. It just means that you cannot move those muscles.
Wow.
Now, the thing is, it's temporary. There's no real medical treatment for it. There's no cure. So basically, when you see a doctor about it, they give you some kind of steroids to boost your immune system and say, good luck. And for some people, it lasts 2 or 3 weeks and they come out of it 100%. For me, it has sadly been nearly a year.
Oh my
Nearly
gosh.
a year. Yeah. And it's so random. It can affect people. A lot of times women get it when they're pregnant.
Okay.
Babies sometimes get it. The most common, from what I've read, the most common cause is just, I think 75% of the people or something that get it have just an upper respiratory cold first. They have a virus. Yeah. And that virus somehow moves or manifests, if your immune system dips, to this cranial nerve behind your ear. And that what happens is all of our nerves, which are so complicated, are coated with what's called a myelin sheath that covers it, that protects it.
I remember the myelin sheath from biology
Look
class.
at you!
Yes.
Well, excuse me, doctor.
I can't define it, but I remember
seriously.
having to
Remember that
spell out
word.
myelin
Oh,
sheath.
look
Yes.
at you! See,
Spell it?
that's
Can you spell it now?
yeah.
I think it's MYELINSHEATH.
Yes, that is
myelin
correct.
sheath.
Okay.
That is correct. Yeah. So what happens is it senses the virus, and the sheath is designed to kind of inflame to protect the nerve, but it sometimes overreacts and inflames to such an extent that it chokes the nerve and causes nerve damage.
Wow.
So nerves take a long time to heal.
Yeah.
And since it causes the main nerve to be damaged, all of these tiny nerve endings in the face, then after this regenerates or fixes itself, it has to make its way to all of those little nerves.
So it has to regrow.
Either regrow or
or-
repair.
That's
Or repair.
fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's pinched and then when it's unpinched, everything just comes back normally.
No.
It's, wow.
That's the interesting thing is, I think what they normally say is most of the time, by the time you see it and it happens, the virus that caused it is gone.
So
it's
it's hard to even
just-
pinpoint it.
Yeah. So there's no point, because people are like, can't they give you medicine? And it's like, what are they? There's
What are
nothing
they
to
treating?
treat. Yeah.
But you said you can feel.
Oh yeah, I can
still.
feel everything. That was the difference this time, because it's very rare to have a recurrence of Bell's palsy.
Yeah,
It is
that's why I was so
unusual.
surprised to hear that it's
Yeah.
happening to you again.
You and me both.
So right now is your
Is the second time. I had it when I was about 21, 22.
Okay.
The entire thing lasted less than 6 months. And get this is the ultimate nightmare. It was on the other side of my face.
I was gonna ask. Oh my God, that's
so
so
this is
fair.
just two.
Yeah, it was too random. They're not interconnected as far as we know at all. Maybe there's something the way my body is wired that maybe I had a tendency, or I just got unlucky. I do know other people, and actually other performers, other female performers, who have had this happen more than once.
Does it predominantly affect women than it does more for men?
I've read different things on that topic. If it does, it's a small increase in women compared to men. But considering it can happen to people who are very stressed or their immune system dips, it wouldn't surprise me if it was more common in women, because we lead very stressful lives and our bodies are physically stressed kind of constantly because of just the way we're wired. Yeah. So
and we do hate studying women for anything medical.
I mean,
so.
Oh God, I don't want to talk about women.
Why would we?
Ew,
They're gross.
they're gross.
it's so disgusting.
disgusting.
Ew, stay far away. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're coming up on a year of this.
Yeah.
And how did it happen? Does it happen overnight? Does it happen immediately?
It happens usually within 24 hours. And that's what happened to me is here's the strange thing is it sometimes can also affect another nerve called the trigeminal nerve, which actually affects feeling. Last time I had this, I had zero pain. This time I had torturous, incredible pain.
Oh my gosh.
Localized or?
Sort of, yeah. And what's funny is it didn't start right away, but that's the connection of how it began is I flew in I had been doing holiday concerts and then went to Kansas City, where to stay with my husband's family for Christmas. We flew in and the next day I felt like I had burned my tongue. And I thought, well, we had takeout when we got in. We got like sushi. I think I got soup. I might have burned my tongue on soup. That's what it felt like. But it was like that all day. It was just kind of annoying. And then the next day I woke up and I was just kind of brushing my teeth or something. I was like, something feels strange. And instinctively, that memory kicked in. And I tried to like smile at myself in the mirror and I could tell that something was off. And I thought, if this is happening again, and then because it does kind of develop slowly, I was hoping that maybe I'd get a milder case. I was like, oh, maybe it's not going to affect me that badly. Maybe it's, and now I know what it is and how to take care of it. Now, within 24 hours, I had nothing on this side of my face.
Oh,
yeah.
So really rapid onset.
Really rapid onset.
And the first time you got it, you said 21?
I think I was 21 or 22. I think I was 21. I don't really remember.
What was that? I'm curious to know what the two experiences were.
Yeah,
like.
it was very different in a sense because then I really knew nothing about it, of course. So I had been, we had been busy. I had been moving all day, I think. So I was, very, very, it was around the same time of year. It was early January last time. And this time was New Year's Eve, which is very common. It's more common to get this in the winter time.
Of course, when you're being challenged by the weather, respiratory issues.
Well, and there's
system,
an interesting
blah, blah, blah.
thing too that I'm seeing acupuncturists for this, and my cousin studies Chinese acupuncture and herbology, or is a PhD and is a doctor in it. And one thing I've learned is that the Chinese language term for Bell's palsy actually translates to wind attack. There's a deeply rooted belief that cold is what causes it.
Wow,
isn't that interesting?
That is so.
We're bookmarking. I want to bookmark the Eastern medicine conversation too, because I think that's so fascinating.
It is.
And we don't at all in Western medicine look at anything other than treat the disease after you have it.
That's why there's nothing, it's so hard to find any medical information for this online because there's not a magic pill that you can pay thousands of dollars for to make it go away. Right. So the healthcare industry is just not interested.
They're just not interested.
They're just not interested.
So let's actually dip into it.
Yeah.
Like if you want to.
Well, I wanted to talk about also when the first time you had it and what that experience was like. And...
Yeah. So the first time I had it, I had been busy all day, and I remember just thinking I must have been tired because I kept feeling like my eyes wanted to close. Later, of course, I realized it was because one of my eyes, this one at the time, wasn't closing all the way. But it was developing so slowly, I didn't notice it. And then that night, something felt off, and I remember looking in the mirror and trying to smile like you do after you wash your hands, check your face, and I couldn't do it. And because I had never heard of this and didn't know anything about it, I was like, am I having a stroke?
Is it a stroke?
Yeah, am I some weird 21-year-old that's having a stroke right now? Yeah. So I went to the emergency room and was there for hours, and then finally saw a doctor who was great but so nonchalant, and she was like, stick out your tongue. And I stuck out my tongue, and because I had no control over the site, it just went that way. I didn't know. I wasn't looking at myself. I just stuck out my tongue. And she was like, you've got Bell's palsy. And I was like,
what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, it's temporary. It's facial paralysis. We'll give you some steroids, whatever. But I was like, how temporary?
It's temporary facial paralysis. You're
right?
21.
As
alone.
an actress.
As an actor.
Yes.
And I was had recently gotten my equity card. So I was auditioning a lot, and it was terrifying. It was really, really terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
The nonchalantness.
She was so, in a way, it was so reassuring.
Yeah.
Because she was just like,
she
don't
wasn't
worry.
freaked out.
No,
you'll be fine.
Not at all.
Yeah. No concern here.
Yeah. Which is great because then my follow-up doctor that, I didn't have a primary care physician. I was 21.
Yeah.
So they scheduled a follow-up for me with a doctor in the same system. And that was terrifying. He had no bedside manner.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And he was like, there's no reason you should have this. You're a healthy 21-year-old. It's got to be HIV. It's got to be. like crazy. So they took just a ton of blood and tested me for every autoimmune disease, everything you can imagine, and it all was negative. It was just a virus, but he like, wow, there's no reason you should have
So
this.
inflammatory.
Oh, it was nuts. It scared the
terrifying.
shit out of me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, wild.
So what are the things that are helping you? There's no cure. You can't just take a pill or a shot and fix it. So what are the things, are you able to do anything that helps it get better? Are you doing like facial exercises, or does that even help at all?
No, yes, it really does.
Okay.
That's the thing, is there's really nothing that's like, this is going to fix
silver
Bell's
bullet,
palsy.
yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much acupuncture, I think, has really helped. And my cousin hooking me up with that.
Is it acupuncture or like all over acupuncture? Because you know
Both.
how everything's interconnected.
Yeah,
and-
I mean,
okay.
I'll literally have needles like here and here, but also in my
Wow.
feet and my
Okay.
wrists. And
Mhm.
last time she did all kinds of stuff with my stomach, and E stimulation, the electric stimulation, I think really helps. I also saw a terrific physical therapist who really set me up with some great exercises and how to handle it. And even though we're not working together anymore because she moved to a different hospital system, I've been able to take those things, and it has really helped. And then
Great.
honestly, one thing that really helped me that I'm just so grateful I could do is, you know, when it happened, those first few weeks, I mean, I had to cancel everything. I had concerts scheduled. I had all kinds of things scheduled. And I just had to go, I can't do it. Because I was physically so affected then.
And you were in pain.
Yeah, it took
Yeah.
a while for the pain, but the
Okay.
pain did go away. I was put on basically nerve blockers.
Okay.
So after about 3 weeks, but it took a long time.
Oh my
But
gosh,
yeah,
man.
I think what really helped also was working. You know, I got to do, I had already booked Edwin Drood at Good
Yes.
Speed,
Uh-huh.
and I offered them an out and said, you know, if this is how I am, if you're not comfortable with this, I understand this. Oh, I got to stop doing that. If you're not comfortable with this, I understand. This is not, I'm not who you hired, was kind of my thing. Because I'm disability advocacy. I never
Generous,
would
but
have.
yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
just was like, this wasn't what you were expecting.
Sure, for sure.
And they said, no, if you feel comfortable and you are not in pain, please come. And I think it was so good for me physically
Yeah.
and mentally, very much so.
How did that, what did that feel like for someone who is used to having, you know, I guess your ability to express yourself as an actress through your face and through your emotions, and then now half of that is taken away. So what was it like doing it on a contract where you're trying to engage with this character? Did it feel, was nothing different, or were you kind of just
everything was different.
Everything was different. Okay.
Everything was different. And I mean, first of all, I was terrified just to be around my peers. I was like, are
Yeah.
they going to be able to play a scene with me, seeing me looking so different and not being able to express necessarily the same way I would have otherwise? But that was like, that went out the window
Yeah.
immediately.
Good, good.
People in our business are so, for the most part, so incredibly kind. And we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all had moments of not being ourselves, not being 100%. So everybody was so terrific on that contract and made me feel like there was absolutely nothing wrong. Physically, it was hard because since I was missing so much musculature, I was working this side of my face so hard to try to make up for it. And not like expression, but just even singing, speaking.
Yeah.
I want to ask about how it affects us to not, like, how much did it affect your vocal quality or singing voice or?
I mean, luckily, not a lot, because since it doesn't affect your vocal cords at all, I was safe there. But
Okay.
as enunciating,
Yeah.
the resonance was different.
Yeah, and your jaw, and like, and
Yeah.
if there's like too much tension in your jaw, or your tongue, like these are other areas that are being affected by it.
Yeah, luckily, you know, the most difficult part was the enunciation, a little bit the resonance. When I started to get, you know, to trickier or, you know, more things, parts of your voice that you have to finesse a little more, that became a little trickier because, you know, learning where to place it. But also, I think, again, being a woman in this business and singing as a woman, I don't know how it differs because I'm not male identifying, but like, you learn to work around placement so much because through the month, where those notes are placed and how that resonation occurs changes.
Wow.
So in a way, I think I was very prepared for it because I've been doing this my whole life.
Wow,
you
that's
know?
something that as a man, I've never thought of.
I mean,
wow, that must be very.
My mind is blown
Yes.
right now.
it's remarkable physiologically, because of our cycles, the thickness of our vocal folds changes.
I'm embarrassed that I never knew this.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's okay. Don't be embarrassed.
No, why would you know
Be
that?
ashamed.
Be
but-
ashamed,
Be
you
ashamed. But don't
asshole.
be embarrassed.
I'd like an engraved letter of apology, frankly. I've worked 10 times as hard.
Yes.
No, it's just something
Yeah.
you learn to navigate as a
Wow.
woman. And
Mhm.
it's
Could you speak a little bit more to what it looks like, and yeah, just essentially what you were saying about how the vocal quality and the
how it
how
changes.
Yeah.
Just like, other parts of our body that change throughout the month and not just one, a lot of times it's like that time of the month, but it's your cycle is constant. You're always, and we're learning a little more about it now. I
Yeah.
feel like on social media and stuff's been talked about it a lot more, but you have numerous phases your body goes through. And throughout that, sometimes, it might affect, it can affect every cell in your body, but
Yeah.
it can affect
Yeah,
the
estrogen goes up and down, and that affects all
Exactly.
this stuff.
I mean,
yeah.
think about when someone is transitioning male to female or female to male, and they'll take hormones, and one of the things that happens, your voice changes.
Yeah.
So obviously, that's a very, your testosterone. Well, it's the same kind of thing on a smaller scale.
Mhm.
Those hormonal levels shift all the time.
Yeah, that tracks.
And that can really affect where you place things. And sometimes it's very minimal, but because you get used to navigating it, I think that made finding that new placement and negotiating that stuff a lot easier, I guess, than I would have thought.
Do you feel like there are opportunities that you have missed out on or lost out on because of this temporary moment of
Yes.
paralysis?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Or do you
Yes.
feel like there's a bias from certain casting directors maybe
Yes.
that are like, we love you, but like, we'll wait till you're better? Like, that's happening?
I haven't,
Not directly,
only
I'm sure,
that
but-
has happened directly.
Oh.
Not from a casting director, but from a creative.
Name names. Who are
I
you?
won't, because
Get the burn
they
book
were
out.
I was very honest with them and was like, listen, they wanted me to participate in something I'd participated in before, but they were curious and they were like, how is it coming? Because I want to present the piece, for investors, and I just want to make sure. And I said, if you think it's going to be distracting, then I would rather you go with someone. I don't want that stress. I don't want that stress
Yeah.
on me, that I'm going to sit there and not feel like I can do my best work because I know that they're over there going, why does her mouth look weird?
Yeah.
So, but that hasn't happened face to face. But I do have a very strong feeling that it has affected a lot of opportunities, some for sensible reasons. I know, especially on camera, it was not as much now, but it was much more obvious. So my agents were great sending me in for these lovely, parts. But unless you've got a character arc that includes it, it can sometimes just feel like a distraction,
Okay.
which I know is probably something that people with disabilities probably deal with all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, which is not right.
Right.
But especially when it comes to facial differences, that's not something you can cut out of frame,
Right.
So I know that, but I also do feel I'm not somebody generally that's like, why aren't they hiring me? Like, there's a key for every lock. I get that, but I do feel like this year has been harder for me career-wise than any recent year. And I came out of the pandemic really resigned to do some different work and not be necessarily in the same big Broadway sphere, because I was like, I want to delve in and do some other stuff, and it's been really, really great. But this year, I've almost had less of that opportunity.
Interesting. Interesting. So in the midst of like trying to branch out and transition a little bit artistically and creatively, now there's a wall up. That's so
Well, it's funny because
challenging.
some of those artistic, creative, the little nooks and crannies, I'm really finding. And it doesn't scare people off as much as the big commercial projects. When I've gone in for a couple of big, and honestly, I don't even know if they're put off by the look of me. I think for many of them, this is total speculation and conjecture, but I feel as if they just don't know what's going on. I wonder if
They're afraid. What if this gets worse? What if we
Yes.
hire you? It
is
gets
it
worse.
chronic?
and then-
Are other things going to happen? Is all of a sudden her left arm going to be numb? Like, I think they don't know what it is. And I toyed with, recently I had an audition for a Broadway show, and I was like, I actually am interested in this. I'll go in, I'll take, and I almost did, and I didn't. I kind of wish I had. I almost called my agent and said the day before and said, can you please relay to casting what's happening with me?
Oh, so they're not already doing that.
I mean, I think most people know, but
Okay.
I would have liked, I thinking about it later, I was like, I would love to just send a little blurb that you can pass on to them that says, I have temporary facial paralysis. It is supposedly going to improve more. It affects nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
just so they know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, why? If they can't get
Yeah.
past it,
Yeah.
then why is that
Yeah.
on me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
If it's not affecting how your voice sounds and
Yeah. I feel like I can still tell a story. I feel like I've gotten so much back now that I'm not a distraction. So
Mhm.
I'm like, if they're that concerned about it, then again, kind of like the first guy, I don't want to be in that room.
Yeah.
When it first came back, so it would have been January of 2024.
Yeah, it was December 31st.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Happy New
Happy
Year!
New Year!
Were you were working at that time on a show?
I was not. I had just finished a bunch of holiday concerts.
Okay.
And I was slated to do some more concerts and like a reading or something. I had things scheduled for like January, February, that I think all of those I had to. So it was.
You had to cancel all your.
Yeah.
Was it just really severe, or what you weren't able? Okay.
It was just that it was so severe that my enunciation was not there. I couldn't close my eye. It wasn't even close.
Wow, you couldn't even close your
No,
eye.
yeah, you can't close your eye. I mean, already it's still got a ways to go, meaning it doesn't work on impulse the same way as this one, but it's gotten much better.
What do you do in that? Are you constantly eye dropping? Do you have a
Yeah.
patch?
You tape your eye when you sleep. Literally tape your eye closed when you sleep. And it's important that you do that to
Yeah,
protect the eye.
Yeah.
To protect the eye, and does the muscle also then get like tense, or like how does that?
I mean, at that point, the muscle wasn't even functioning.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I haven't had to do that in a little
Yeah.
while. My eye's closing enough that that's not an issue. But yeah, it affects you so much. You know, I had like blue light glasses, or I also had a couple like fake pairs of glasses for auditions kind of things. And that's one of the other things they tell you during the day, you know, wear stuff to protect your eyes. So anytime I left the house, I always wore glasses because it was the dead of winter and like wind and you can close your eyes against something blowing in the wind.
Speaking of, I want to go back to the acupuncture piece. What did you say?
Supposedly, and I don't quote me on this because I don't speak Mandarin, I don't know for sure, but I've read that the illness of Bell's palsy or the condition translates in Chinese to wind attack or something similar.
Okay.
But there is a belief, I've talked through with some of my acupuncturists, that cold causes this.
And have you found that acupuncture works better or the same as, or I mean, there's nothing that can work in Western medicine.
I don't
so
know.
it's
I wouldn't
like-
know how to compare it, and I don't even know, you know, this all could be psychosomatic. I feel like it's doing something because you know, depending on the acupuncture in the day, I might feel muscles twitch. You know, my last
interesting.
treatment was a
Okay.
few days ago, and the last 2 days I've had this muscle that connects to my eyelid twitch a lot more than it had been previously,
Okay.
which may not mean anything, but it's nice to know that something
There's
may
some
be.
things going on.
Yeah.
Acupuncture is pretty incredible.
amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Have you ever done it?
I did. Yeah, I did it for sleep. It was actually in 2015. I think I started it.
Oh.
I did it for like anxiety and like poor sleeping habits.
Yeah.
And it helped a little bit, but I had a hard time with it because it always it gave me like sharp heart pains. Isn't that interesting?
Oh,
Like when they attached the electrodes to it, I would
Oh,
always
because
get
you
like,
did Easton.
Yeah, I
So
guess
maybe
so.
you shouldn't do it
Maybe
with the stimulation.
So maybe I need to do it with
Just
just
without-
needles.
yeah.
Yeah.
She always attached like the wires, and it was like a little bit.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
lot.
don't always need that.
Okay.
Yeah, you might give it another shot without the
Yeah, maybe I'll
Yeah.
without the electric stuff.
give it another
Yeah.
try.
What I would love to know this for when it was really severe. Was there anything like when you were telling friends or family about it? Like, what were some of the helpful things that people said or did versus unhelpful things?
Oh,
that
that's a
people said or
great
did?
question. Well, aside from the wonderful suggestions and stuff I got from friends who had also had it, which surprisingly, there were more people out there than you think, and a lot of actors who had never told anyone, who had been kind of hidden about it, reached out to me and told me things. So that was very helpful.
Is there I'm interrupting.
Yeah.
Is there a stigma? I guess similar to what we've been talking about.
Yeah. I mean, when I got it this time, the first 2 weeks I kept it all under wraps.
Okay.
Because again, there is such a stigma in this business about ever being unhealthy or injured. Like it's your fault.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's time we dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of it. And then at one point when I realized it was going to take longer than a few weeks to get better, I was like, well, what's the point in hiding? I live in a neighborhood with a lot of other performers and people in the business. And I was like, if I'm scared to go outside with my dog, like, that's when I started doing the social media stuff, because I was like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you've been talking about it and posting and putting it out there.
Thanks.
Because you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. We need to like destigmatize what we can destigmatize, which
had
we
a
just
whole-
had a whole conversation about.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's so interesting though. I just can't believe that. It's unfortunate that people feel they have to hide that.
It is. It really is. It's also so disconcerting to look at yourself in a mirror and not see your face. Because even at rest in those early stages, we forget the effects of gravity on us. And all these muscles work against gravity.
Yeah.
So in 24 hours, I mean, my cheek was like, you know, drooping and my eye was true. Yeah. So you do not look like yourself. You don't feel like yourself. It's difficult to drink. It's difficult to eat. It's difficult to talk. So you just kind of want to crawl in a cave, you know? But then things start to improve and you're like, I have to do something. I don't know.
Well, back to your question. What were some of the things that people...
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No.
Helpful or unhelpful?
I'll tell you
or both.
what's unhelpful, and it's well-intentioned, and people still do it. It's so well-intentioned. I can barely tell. Oh, you look so good. I wouldn't have even known. I had no idea. Oh my God, it's so minimal. You look better than yesterday. It's so well-intentioned.
Of course, yeah.
But only a fraction of this has to do with me being worried how I look. At this point, if I was that concerned about how I look when I leave the house, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of cameras talking to you guys, you know?
Right.
So, and anytime you remind someone of their appearance, there's something going wrong with their appearance, you look so much better. I think it's like, that's not it. And it's very well intentioned, especially now people are like, I can hardly tell if before you talked, I didn't even notice, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, all that does is remind me that it's still there.
Right.
And, you know, I kind of talked about this once on one of my social media posts early on, is I was like, it's great to encourage somebody, but it's not just about how I look. It's about how I feel. You know, it does feel harder to talk. I am constantly working to be able to close my eye with more efficiency. I still don't feel like myself. So it's just less helpful to comment on appearance. Now, my close friends who say like, I see, you know, I had dinner with a friend who I did Druid with, and I haven't seen her since we finished that contract in May or whatever. And she said, I cannot believe the improvement I'm seeing. This is great. She's a good friend and she's seen me through every stage.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
not,
Right.
It's when people you meet in an audition setting or something and they're like, oh, I really can hardly tell. And I'm like, great, I was really concerned about your opinion.
Yeah.
It's also minimizing.
Especially at that beginning stage when you were saying when your whole, like, when your cheek and your eyes drooping and how jarring that must be to not see the reflection that you normally felt and the fear, I would imagine, especially when you had it the first time of like, how long is this going to last?
Oh,
like the unknown, the fear
Well,
of
and
the
I
unknown.
think, you know, going along with like what's helpful and what's unhelpful, not only about your looking and your feeling, but like this is something really, really fascinating I discovered was especially early on because it was so taxing to express myself, to laugh or to smile, but also I knew how unusual I looked when I attempted to do that. I stopped myself for the many weeks from laughing or smiling, and I'm still not doing it as freely because I know it's going to make me look a little kooky. And it's amazing how that affects your mental health when you tell yourself not to smile and not to laugh.
Wow, that's heavy,
It
baby.
really messes with your head. So that's the other part of this.
Yeah.
Is I do wish more people were just like, hey, how are you feeling? You know, this is not forever. How are you feeling? As opposed to it all being external. Oh my God, look at you. You're looking good. I really can't tell how, you know.
Of course.
Well, that goes back to our constant need to like, hey, how are you doing? Good. How are you? Keep it moving.
Yes,
Like, not actually.
It's so true. Yeah.
It's also you're the one that's living in this experience now wholeheartedly. And it's so minimizing for someone to say, oh, like, oh, you're better. And you're like, well, I don't feel better. So, like, why, like, don't, it's like when you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm really not feeling good. And they're like, well, actually, your temperature's fine. And, like, everything came back and you're doing fine. And you're like, no, but I feel like shit.
And it's so well-intentioned. People really do. I feel bad because probably friends of mine are going to see this and be like, oh my God, I said that to her. But it is, I understand the intention behind it, but you don't know what it feels like. And you don't, it's different.
So the better question is just, hey, how are you feeling?
Yeah. Hey, how are you feeling? You look great. Yeah, I mean, you look great is okay. It's just, it's more the people who say like, I can hardly tell.
Yeah.
It's almost gone. You wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not looking for you to not notice. I'm looking for it to get better. So like, you look great. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
You know, how's everything going?
Yeah.
That's a better question.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are the mental health resources that you're engaging with right now to try and help you get through this chapter?
Yeah, because the not smiling, not laughing thing is really
that sounds
fascinating.
really challenging.
And yeah.
I've been wanting to. I'm a big advocate of therapy. I think it's great. I didn't have a therapist until this.
Wow.
It's just like finding a therapist, and it's expensive, and it's a whole thing. So I was like, well, I'm still fine. I don't have time. I'll get a therapist later. And after this, it was like, I have to talk to somebody because it was really, because I have a wonderful, loving husband who is so understanding, and I could talk at him all day and he would be lovely about it. But I felt like I was just laying my burdens on him and already in a depressed, dark place.
Of course.
And I wasn't going to go out with somebody and have a chat, you know? So finding a therapist and immediately once a week, every week, talking.
There really is something to therapy that, again, I don't think we like talk about enough with like, people are like, well, I have friends or I have a husband or partner, whatever. It's like, yeah, but when you have that space that's just for you, that you're paying someone for who's gone to school to study patterns and behaviors, it makes it way, I would always feel like burdensome. I'd be like, well, I don't want to put this on them. And
Absolutely.
it's like, it takes that away.
It
And
does.
I wish everyone had access to that.
I wish everyone I'm glad you said that because I don't think everybody knows what therapy is or can be. They think it's somebody going, and what did your mother say about that? You know, and like when it's really just somebody who like will listen and be like, oh my God, then what happened? Like and be, you know, all about you for an hour. And sometimes, especially when you're going through something like this where, you know, I was feeling so vulnerable. And especially I think in the business that we're in, where unless you're among your closest friends, you do want to watch what you say sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a facade you have to put up.
There
Absolutely.
is. There just kind of is. As much as I would love to be like, fuck it, I'm going to say whatever I want. But
We're kind of doing that here a lot.
I mean,
Obviously we are.
Lately I do that a lot. I will be honest. But so that has been, therapy has been very helpful. And then just, I think reminding myself that like, it's funny. I just saw a friend of mine and we did a show together last year and we had this wonderful costume designer who had to come in at the last minute to replace someone. And she was frazzled and she was amazing. And this was in Virginia. And her thing was always, she'd look at us and go, yeah, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Even when it was like seriously not.
Clearly not okay.
So you don't have a wig yet? Okay, it's all going to be okay. You know?
Yeah.
So I think just reminding myself that like, dude, I have people around me who love me. I have other skills and I'm not just here to be hired by somebody else on a whim. I can make things. I can do things on my own. And even if, especially now that it's lasted 11 months, if this never comes back, which is rare, but it's possible, it's going to be okay. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right?
That's so
And
beautiful.
it's also, that's a phrase that I say to people all the time, it's going to be okay. Even if it's not like, I don't know, you don't know, none of us know.
Yeah, for sure.
But just hearing that from someone is also just the thing that I need most of the time. I just need someone to be like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
because you'll figure it out. You have to trust that the future version of yourself is going to be able to handle whatever future problem comes your way, and that your job is to just be in the present and do whatever you need to do. But like, it really is like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be okay. The alternative is death, and then you're not going to know.
Yeah.
So if you're still here, it's fine. Yeah.
Are you allowing yourself like moments, even though in public you're not you've been or at the beginning you were holding back on like being expressive? Are you allowing yourself moments of like, I'm gonna lock myself in the bedroom and watch Bridesmaids and just like laugh, and it doesn't matter what I look like because I can just like, I need this therapy and this catharsis of just laughing and giggling or crying, or like, I don't know, crying in a dark theater. Like, are you allowing yourself those moments to?
Absolutely. And you're right. It's so vital to your health and to your mental health to like give yourself a fucking break. Yeah. So I've given myself, and now also there is kind of that IDGAF, attitude a little bit that like, this is what I look like right now. And if it concerns you, then you can walk away. But like, so with my close friends, I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm having a good time. I'm hating a lot of the pictures that we take, but I'm learning how to deal with that because this also, we're going to look back on, and this was a chapter of my life. And even if a month from now, it's all back and I feel amazing, and we look back on this and go, oh my God, what an improvement. This was a chapter of my life. I have a 3-year-old honorary niece, good friends of ours, daughter, and we're taking pictures all the time with her. And sometimes I look at myself and I see like, my crooked smile, and I'm like, you know what? This is a chapter of her life. This is just what happens sometimes. And it's fine.
It also probably helps you frame a lot of gratitude, I'm assuming, to say like, okay, like, this is challenging me, but like, at least I have this, or I'm not struggling with this. Not that I'm trying to minimize what you're going through,
but it's
like,
true.
Going through one crisis usually helps set things in perspective, and then provides you like a good dose of gratitude for the other things that you do have. It's the white Christmas, count your blessings instead of sheep.
I mean,
like,
See, and I think the way you were saying it, even before count your blessings, is even better. It's true. You have to, anytime we come into struggles or things get a little more challenging or obstacles, is when you really look inside and see who you really are and what you're truly capable of. And even though I'm so grateful to have the supportive people around me that I do, at the end of the day, it's me at night when I turn out the light. It's me in my head. It's me. So you kind of have to go look at everything I've got. I mean, this is challenging, yes, but I can move my arms and legs. How grateful am I for that? I'm in good health otherwise. How grateful am I for that? I have people I love. I have things I love. I've seen amazing places. I've done amazing things. Can I complain about this? I can complain a little, but I'm not going to let myself complain for longer than a cup of coffee at this point.
Gosh, Mamie, you're such an inspiration.
I'd be complaining nonstop.
Yeah, I would be bitching and moaning.
I'm sure I have days like that. You could talk to my husband. I'm sure there are days when all day I'm just like, Thanksgiving was a tough one. Because like holidays are.
You're allowed to have, we're all allowed to complain a little.
I would hope so. It's natural.
Of course.
You got to vent. Got to let it out.
That feels like a perfect place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
We have rapid fire 10 questions that we do at the end of every episode. They're
I hope you don't mind that I cursed. I didn't ask for it.
No, we've been cussing since day one and talking about wildly inappropriate things. Not inappropriate. We're just being brutally candid from day one.
Yes.
So you can literally say anything you want.
Ready. 10. I'm so bad at this. Let's see if I can be better. Usually when I do like rapid fire, I'm very bad at it. I'll try and be
better.
We'll find out.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so Alex is going to start.
Okay.
And it's going to go as quick as you can. So 3, 2, 1.
At the beach, do you prefer to swim or sunbathe?
Sunbathe.
Coffee shop or library?
Coffee shop.
Would you rather have toes for fingers or fingers for toes?
Fingers for toes.
Kill, fuck, marry. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween.
Oh, shoot. Kill Christmas, fuck Halloween, and Merry Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
For sure. That's the only correct answer.
Yep. You can instantly learn Arabic, Mandarin, or Russian. Which do you choose?
Arabic.
Ooh.
What a beautiful language.
Okay, great. Grizabella or Alphaba?
Grizabella.
Rank these brands. Lululemon, Fabletics, Alo.
Alo, Lululemon, Fabletics.
Okay. Favorite cartoon character?
That's so hard. Garfield.
Okay. Kill, fuck, marry. Blue, orange, red.
Kill Kill blue, fuck red, marry orange.
Okay, would you rather be able to time travel or be able to fly?
Time travel.
Work. Great job, Mamie.
Yeah, I did okay.
You crushed.
Sometimes slow
You
is
crushed.
hard.
No,
You
we've
did
had
really, really
a lot
good.
of people that are like,
That's
30
usually
seconds
something
per
like coffee shop
question.
or
We're like,
library.
it's
That was
rapid.
hard because
I
I
know.
love both. But
I
if it's
know.
like, am I going there right now? Coffee shop.
They both make me have to poop. Both libraries and coffee shops. The second I walk into a
I think
coffee shop or
literally
library, I'm
everywhere
like,
makes
I
you have
gotta
to poop.
Do you
There's-
worry about pooping noisily in a library?
I don't worry about pooping noisily, but I worry about having to poop where I don't have access to a poop station.
Wait, what is
Like
a
a
poop station?
bathroom.
Oh, I was like, are certain bathrooms not poop stations?
No, like a bathroom, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to unpack that.
We're
as
gonna-
well.
Yeah, seriously, that's something to
We're going to
discuss
wrap up on that.
further.
We're gonna wrap on that.
Mamie, where can our followers and listeners follow you?
Yeah.
Website and social media? Where
Oh
can
God,
they follow
don't
your...
go to my website. I need to update that thing. Jeez. But I'm on Instagram as Mamie Parris Official. And I'm on TikTok currently as Mamie Sings. But I do so many other things that might have to change. I don't know.
We'll
But
find
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
I'm in
that.
both those places.
Amazing.
Come find me.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with
Yes.
us.
Thank you for having me.
was
This
so
was lovely.
lovely.
I know.
So lovely. It's so nice
It's
to
so
meet
nice
you.
to meet you and talk about
Yeah.
Chicago. That was awesome.
Yes. Well, and thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll catch you later.
You're all amazing. Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you. Bye.